Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are actually going to talk about Techo Kaigi, which to my understanding means a notebook meeting. Now I could be wrong on that. I don't speak Japanese, so this is just something that I have learned through the years of actually being in the planning community. So that's where my information comes from, not from Japanese culture. But the idea behind this is that you have a meeting with yourself where you look at your notebooks and make sure that they're working for you. And it's generally done around mid-year, around this time of year when all the planners are starting to come out. And so everybody has a different way of doing this, but this is how I do it. I start with a page where I just have a narrative, an evaluation of what I'm doing, first of all, in the planner that I have. So I look at annually, what am I using, uh, what collections I'm adding, what I'm doing monthly, bi-weekly, weekly, and daily. And so right now I am in this sterling ink. This is actually done on a page in my current planner. So it's just sterling ink has these blank grid pages at the back, and that is where I am doing this particular spread. It's actually going to end up being a 4-page spread. This is the first half of 2025. So I'll kind of walk you through what I do with the sterling ink planner. So I do pay attention to days off. I'm not real good about checking off the weeks as they're used. I don't really necessarily need this empty spread at the beginning, although I don't mind it being here and I may someday find a use for it. I put in goals, but I don't really follow through. I do use this year at a glance as a tracker for when did I last. So, when did I last ink my fountain pen or get a haircut, those kind of things, an oil change for the car. Because the sterling ink is a 2-book system, the one that I use, so it has, a 6-month book at a time. You get all 4 quarters still, and so you can redate and have 2 of these kind of codex pages with the quarterly goals and then some trackers. Then we have our monthlies. We all know what those look like, the weeklies. As you can see, I use the weeklies quite a lot. I do plan my day around the weeklies here. And then with the sterling ink, after that, you get into blank pages. There are no dailies in the sterling ink, so it is just blank paper. So if we go and look at the back here, this is what your blank pages are going to look like. And I use these for a variety of things. I always have, every week I like to have an Alistair task list. So that is a task list that I don't necessarily write it every single day, but I write the task list out and then I indicate what days of the week I intend to do that thing. And then mark when it's done. I can go more into detail when I set up one of these and show you how that all works. But I use it for that kind of thing. I use it for lists of things I want to do, interesting quotes, interesting recipes, just about anything that you could possibly think of. I have notes on a class that I took. I have ephemera from a TCMC subscription. So that's the Coffee Monsters Cove, if anyone is unfamiliar. And I am one of the subscribers, so I get a package once every quarter from them. And I usually record in here what I'm doing. And then when I get to the next month of blank pages, I will start again with another Alistair method. So one of the things that I talked about in a previous video is I really do kind of miss the Hobonichi's every single day having its own page. And while these blank pages are nice, and there is a blank page for every single day included in the book, I really miss having those pages for every day, designated for every day. Anyhow, this is all of what I do with my book. As much as this spread, for example, looks very pretty, and because I've used some washi tape pieces here and there, or PET tape pieces, my main concern with this planner is that it be functional, that it help me get things done and help keep me on task and functional and knowing where I need to be and what I need to be doing at all given points in my day. So I always then, after I list out just kind of what I'm currently doing, so what my needs are, I'll talk a little bit about what works and what doesn't work. And this is, again, just talking to myself. So this is, I really wasn't planning on sharing, but I know a lot of people are trying to pick planners for this year, and every year the planner community comes out with these new planners and new things, and people get analysis paralysis trying to figure it out. And so I just wanted to kind of share my process so that you could see this process. I also always write, where is there friction? So what doesn't work, these are things that outright don't work for me. But where there's friction, these are things that I do sometimes, but I find it hard to keep up with. I find it hard to be consistent with, those kind of things. I always also put new needs. So any information that I haven't been tracking previously, but I probably am going to want to pay attention to in the next planner. So for me, a lot of that has to do with this YouTube channel. I would like to track the videos and the views, and if I'm getting close to monetization, which is a long ways away. But I want to track all of those things, and so I'm going to need a place for that. And I don't know that that is going to necessarily fit into what I currently do in my planner. So that's an important consideration. So then I need to write out, for my own sanity, what my priorities are. So as much as I love like the dailies with their I love doing, sorry, the weeklies. I love doing the weeklies like this, where I'm keeping track of my schedule and what's going on in my life. This is fantastic and very useful. I look at this very frequently, but and I like that it's decorative, but I don't know that it needs to be decorative. And so when I do this little review, that's what I'm looking for. Does it need to be decorative? Does it need to, is that important to me? What are the priorities of this planner? What do I want it to do for me? And then I talk about what I really, really find that I need. So this may be different than the priorities. These are the things that I have to have in the planner in order for it to really function for me. And then I add just a little narrative on my wants. What are the things that I would like in an ideal planner? So I go through and figure all this out. This is basically a conversation with myself. I didn't develop all of these headings ahead of time. I just kind of started talking to myself with an evaluation of the planner needs, preferences, and goals. And then I just thought, well, it would be nice to know what I'm doing. And then it would be nice to know what's working and what doesn't work and where there's friction and all of those just kind of came in that process of having a conversation with myself and looking through my current planner and anticipating my future needs. So once I get done doing this and completing this conversation with myself, and this might take more pages, and I might not decorate it some years. I might not even call it a Techo Kaigi some years. I might just call it a planner wish list. It depends on how I'm feeling that year. But once I finish that, then I usually pick a couple planners that I'm considering. So in my case, I wrote a couple planners down here. I had 7 that I was considering. And I looked them all up online, looked at what they had going for them, tried to watch at least one video of people using each one. I crossed out the ones that I knew I wasn't going to be interested in, and that left me with 4 planners that I wanted to review. So if I go over here to my next page, now this is getting a little messy, but this is where I am reviewing those 4 planners. So I have come to the conclusion that I'm probably going to be in a sterling ink again, which is this planner, a Just Scribble, a Nisha Fernando, or a Faded Chronicle. I think that these 4 best suit my current needs. So I start looking at, I just kind of divided the page up into little sections. I've got a section for each one about kind of the general layout of the planner, so I can write it down and I don't have to keep rewatching videos over and over again or looking at websites, because sometimes being on the computer and looking at all those screens and the pretty planners, they're all so nice looking, can influence you in ways that I maybe don't want to be influenced. I want just kind of the information here. And then I want to take that information and look at it in a very logical way where I'm not swayed by the pretty, pretty pictures, to really think about how I want to use it. So I will start by writing in all of the information about the planners. I do include things like, for most of them, like cost, what sizes it comes in, where it's coming from. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but it can be, especially now if you're in the US and you're considering tariffs. What the paper is. This year, that's going to be a big thing. It used to be that everybody was using the San Tomo River paper, but now people have been changing. So for example, the Just Scribble is going to be using the B7 paper this year, and that is actually a thicker paper. It's a 75 GSM versus the 52. Faded Chronicle is also going to be using a different paper. They're using View Corona, but they are using it in that 52 GSM. So again, I have all of that kind of information, the technical details from the website. This lists exactly how the planner is laid out. So, for example, we'll look at this sterling ink. You have the 2026. I showed you here, that's 2025 now, but it will be 2026. Then we have the 2 blank pages, and then the goals for 2 pages, and then you've got your year at a glance, your quarter goals, and your Calendex. And so I've just listed a list of everything that's in there. And then I have put here pros and cons, things that I think I'm going to like about this planner, things that I know are probably not going to be for me about the planner, and then any questions that I have when I'm going through this whole process. I'll put in this little question box, and then once I find an answer, I'll cross it out. So these are questions that I want to find an answer to. So for example, sometimes there are questions that I can find on the website. So is Saturday and Sunday stacked in the daily pages in the Nisha Fernando? In 2025, she changed that to non-stacked pages, so that Saturday and Sunday each have their own page, which I really like. in the Faded Chronicles, it might be something that I need to consider. Where would the Alistair task list go? That's something that I would need to consider in this particular planner, because there isn't a set place where I would necessarily put that. Very much the same as with the Sterling ink, because this just has blank pages. It does not have dailies. And so anything that is, I'm not sure if it's a plus or a negative, where I'm kind of undecided, I will put a little box here that goes through both. And those are things that are kind of neutral, but I really want to pay attention to for that particular planner. So I'm not completely finished with this yet. I'm still working my way through it, but tomorrow, I think today for you guys listening, because I'm going to post this today and schedule it for to go live tomorrow morning. So the Just Scribbles pre-order starts on August 15th, which is Friday. So I want to make sure that I have considered all of this by Friday, because I'm really leaning towards this Just Scribble, and I'd like to get my order in early if I do go this route. I also have listed or tried to list when things are coming out. So this one, I know pre-order is August 15th. This one is currently in pre-order, but it ends on August 31st, which means it would be really important to get that in now if I decide I want this one. And these two have not announced yet, but the pre-order for Sterling Ink is usually on the 15th of September. And Nisha Fernando did say that she was going to update her socials with when the planner would be available, but I haven't seen anything come out yet on that. Anyhow, if I need another page, I will add another page to this somewhere in the book. It won't be consecutive because I've already added an interesting font that I found online on the next page, but I may end up adding more. I may add another planner. If you guys have a planner that you think might suit my needs pretty well, I like my vertical weeklies. I like having a day per page. I am not loving the fact that Sterling Ink has just the blank pages and has enough pages for the day. I really kind of like having the date on the page, but I'm kind of teeter-tottering on that, whether that's a need or a want, whether I need to have days on the pages or I really just prefer it that way. And I like to make sure that I have some areas for goal planning and tracking. So if there are other planners that you think I might want to consider, please leave me a comment and let me know. Let me know what planners you guys are considering, and if you have a system like this that you go through every year to kind of combat that indecision and that difficulty that comes with everybody releasing the planners and all those shiny new planners coming online, everybody talking about them all the time. Anyway, that is my Techo Kaigi for 2025, looking ahead at 2026 planners. Now, in addition to planners, I also want to talk a little bit about some of the other things that I'm using. So if you looked in the thumbnail, you probably saw I had these other books. And I want to consider other notebooks because it's a great time to increase your notebook collection and add other notebooks to the mix that you think you might want, because you can save money on shipping. So first we'll get into this chunky little guy here. But this is a 5-year planner. And so right now I'm just 2 years into this. I am very inconsistent with it in the front. But I do enjoy it. I don't think I need any new a new 5-year book. I think this one is just fine. It's still got 3 years left. but I want to consider some of these stickers. So I usually try and put in the year at a glance. In this case, I got the Sterling Ink subscription one year, and this was all of the different subscription, one sticker from each month, for all the different months. I usually try and have Coffee Monster Co. Calendars, the mini calendars on each of the months. And if I don't have that, then I'll write in the calendar, but I really don't like having to do that. With Sterling Ink, I got the subscription calendars, so that subscription started with March. And then I had to go back and do February and January in pen. But I will usually at least put those on the beginning of each month, so I know that I need to get those. So I need to add that to my sticker planning, which is a whole nother set of pages in my, a whole nother page in my planner. Right now I have, there's my sticker wish list. So these are all the stickers I think I'm going to need for the year. So I want to make sure that I'm considering stickers in here, even though I don't necessarily need a new book for this. The next thing that I have is a reading journal that I thought I was going to do a lot more with than I have. This is an Archer and Olive. It is a square notebook. I don't love that for planning, and I have never really loved it for bullet journaling or anything like that, but I was looking at doing a year at a glance. This was 2024. I have not updated since then. I started really great with tracking. I fell off of that. I was going to put all kinds of quotes here that look like different potion bottles and things like that. I started off doing reviews of the different books, had a bookshelf. I did some challenges. And I really started this because I wanted to do the magical readathon. And that is starting again today. But as you can tell, I have fallen off. I still have plenty of pages left in this. I don't need stickers for it. I don't know if I'm going to continue with it because I'm missing such a large chunk. So I actually need to consider whether I maybe want to start over with this. One of the things that I was thinking I could do is go into a smaller, like a B6 notebook and have it be a little smaller. This is actually just a plain notebook that I use to take notes when I read. And so I feel like it might be nice to have this be coordinated. But I don't need any new considerations for this. I think I have another B6 I can use if I need it. And then the last thing I need to consider is my commonplace book. So I have this commonplace book that has lots and lots of just general information. Now, you guys may have seen me pull this out to look at ink samples if you watched my fountain pen ink video. I have a lot of different things in here. Some I keep up to date and some I do not. Some I go back to frequently and some I do not. I try to keep things in here that I think I'm going to want to refer back to fairly frequently. I am all set on stickers for this. I have plenty of pages left, so I don't think I need to buy anything for this. This is actually just a Hobonichi cousin style notebook. This is the Hobonichi notebook that goes as a companion to the Hobonichi cousin. So it has those different color pages that match the cousin. You know, it's got switches but I don't think I need to update anything with this, but I always like to check. I get all of my notebooks out and I see where I'm at and what I'm doing, and whether what I have is working and is something I'm going to continue with. So I think for the commonplace book, this is working just fine. I do have page number stickers because this did not have page numbers. So one of the things that I will consider for sure for the next common book is to make sure that I am getting something that has page numbers, because this is going to bulk up in these corners with all these stickers really quickly. So that's doing just fine. I'm going to be great with that. I am going to figure out which of these planners I'm going to use here in the next few days, get everything ordered. I'll place a big order for stickers next month, get those ordered, and then I will be all set to get ready in December to start moving into the next book. I like to take a month to move into the next book. So in December and June, I am usually adding in slowly some of the collections that I keep, especially here at the back, that are kind of ongoing collections. So thank you for joining me for my Techo Kaigi. I hope I gave you some good ideas, some things to consider for your own planning, and I will talk to you again tomorrow.